Friend just slept together. The next morning he died.
This is going to be a very, very interesting journey. Hello, hello. This is going to be a very interesting journey. The technical difficulties I'm having today, as if someone is playing some type of juju. This doesn't make any sense at all. Not at all. Oop, I'm off again. See? I'm telling you, something is definitely up today. All right. I promise I'm gonna get this. I'm gonna get this right often. And one thing, if you don't know, technologists are the ones who often run into the most technical difficulties. I don't know if it's just the over complexity of trying to analyze and just overthinking solutions that instead of applying really simple ones, we often land ourselves into more hot water than is necessary. But well, I'm so glad to be here today. And thank you to all of you who have tuned in and are watching. Whoop. I'm making a mess already. See, I can't get anything right today. But it was really important for me to create this platform. I have been very fortunate to be featured on very many platforms and various platforms. And I'm really grateful to those folks for hosting me or having me. What I realize often is that um, they appreciated some call it boldness and some call it fiery tendency and some call it firebrand and some call it authenticity and uncompromising and what have you. Think of the adjective that will describe being courageous and just saying it as you see it, saying what comes to mind, and frankly putting the truth where it belongs and being absolutely fearless in that regard. And so they really appreciated that. But once I was a part of their platform, or once I lent my voice, and they realized they could not control it or they could not control me, it became problematic very fast. And often they wouldn't come out directly to say it. It would be in many different forms. And I would get to a point where I'm just like, you know what, deuces, I just cannot do this. So I thought it was time to create the Uncensored brand formally, officially. And Fanta Kamara Uncensored is a podcast, or is the podcast of the Uncensored brand. We are going to be rolling out a lot of different categories. We are working on the Uncensored news platform. So you're going to be seeing Uncensored news coming your way very, very soon. We are working on a radio station. We're also working on, I wouldn't say TV because everything is digital nowadays. And so you think about how many people truly watch traditional TV, right? So the point is to create a space and be in an ecosystem where I'm not censored. Um, Unfortunately, that's what I keep running into. And once it becomes inconvenient for the person on the other end, they try to tell me what to say and how to say and who to talk about and who not to talk about. And frankly, you have met the wrong person, because I'm not that. I would never be that. The way I see it is exactly how I'm going to speak about it. And for those who would say, oh, maybe sometimes you should be measured. To think that I don't exercise balance in my analysis, I think is ridiculous. When people often say that they don't like your analysis, or they don't like the way you're saying it, but they don't necessarily disagree with the content or the message. And so I think I'm saying all of this to say it was definitely time. It was definitely time to branch out and just create and establish Uncensored. Just I can no longer be censored. I can no longer dance to any one tune. I cannot fit into any box. And so for someone like me, it came down to creating my own space, creating my own brand, so I can say whatever I want to say, whenever I want to say it, however I want to say it. Because most importantly, the times are too urgent to play games with the lives of people. The times are too urgent to be always diplomatically correct when our world is increasingly becoming more and more worrisome and dangerous. And you sit there like thumbling your nails, like, oh, should I say this? Should I say this? Should I not say this? Is it going to make this person feel a type of way? Is it not going to make that person feel a type of way? Do I really care about how it make the person that is often the perpetrator feel? No, I frankly don't. As I've always said, my voice is for the people. My voice is to amplify the plight of the people, is to educate the people and empower them to make better decisions, whether it's in our electoral process, or just daily, right? Is to awaken the people and for them to understand that we cannot afford to be bystanders. We cannot afford to be on the sideline, on the sidewalk. We have to be active participants in our lives, first and foremost, in our in governmental activities. We have to be active participants, and that's the only chance that we get to actually influence the better world that we all are pursuing. Otherwise, I think we sit back and allow other people to make decisions for us that often becomes quite disastrous. And as I mentioned, times are just too urgent. You look around the world and you look at what's happening. You question yourself, what can I do about it? I know a lot of people think about that. Well, don't think that there's nothing that you can do. You are absolutely empowered, and you just have to have the courage to act. And what that looks like means that you can lend your voice, you can encourage an independent platform, you can make a comment, right? Any way you feel most comfortable, do that. Do that. You don't have to go to the extreme. You can protest if you want. Know that you're not without options. There are just way too many for us to sit back and allow the fears of our world to just permeate in the way that they have been or that they do. So without further ado, you're going to be seeing me hopefully every day if God allows. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful to Allah, to God, for giving me the ability to be able to establish this platform. I know a lot of people feel censored, canceled, whatever you want to call it, and are not able to identify that outlet. And I'm so thankful that He's giving me the opportunity to not just identify another outlet, but to establish my own platform, my own brand. And so this is not just for Fanta Kamara. This is for all of the rebels out there who are truth seekers, who are truth tellers, who are absolutely fearless in their pursuit of justice. This is also your platform. Know that you can come here. Know that my doors are always open. I'm only a phone call or a text or a Facebook Messenger or a comment away. If you want to come on the platform, you're more than welcome. We're going to try to be here, as I said, daily. So weekly, I want to say about 4 Eastern, which is about 3 Central and 1 p.m. Pacific. So if you can join us, fantastic. If you're not able to, catch the replay, because no matter what we discuss on here, it's going to be absolutely beneficial to you and your daily activities and your life. There will be definitely things and topics that you can learn from. We're going to be learning together. So be sure, if you have any suggestions that you would like to put forth for me to cover, I'm more than happy to do that. If you want to come on to cover it yourself, be my guest. Absolutely. So with all of that said, I'm sure I forgot something because I didn't prepare a script for my intro, but that's what this is meant to be. It's meant to be super authentic. It's meant to be from the heart. And then as we get into our forensic investigations, as the one that I'm going to be covering today, partially, then I'm absolutely going to go over the research. You get the timeline, or you get images, which is absolutely my goal. It's not just to sit here and to spew things at you or words at you, is to also ensure they're well sourced, they're well researched. And hey, who's to say I'm not going to make a mistake? I will absolutely make a mistake. And where I err, I will be just as human and willing to correct it. So if I make a mistake, just say, hey, Fanta, like, you got this absolutely wrong, and send me your source. And I'll be happy to, of course, correct accordingly, because part of learning and part of growing is accepting that you are flawed, even though perfectly. Kidding. But to accept that you're flawed, right? And you make mistakes, and be willing to course correct or to correct those mistakes as you come across them or as people bring them to your attention. And so I will be relying on you as my partners in crime. We're doing this together. It's not just me. You are my partners in this. And so with the research, with topics we want to cover, I'm relying on you. I'm feeding off of your energy to keep this going. So it is my hope that you're going to be super, super active. Now, just before I came on, I played a couple of clips that during my research I came across and have been just nothing short of devastating. Being reminded of the human cost of abandonment, which is what it really is, of neglect, was something that really shook me to my core. And it felt like a knot in my stomach. I could not imagine how, in this day and age, our world has deteriorated to such a state where our leaders, who we have entrusted with establishing safe and secure environments, prioritizing the welfare of the people, do everything but that. When you, if you were fortunate to catch those clips, I'm sure the replay is going to be there as well. You'll see how the drug epidemic is ravaging our youth. And no one is prioritizing it in a way that it ought to be. They pretend as if to say is going to cost $1 billion, 10 billion, 50 billion, $1 trillion to impact this problem, when in reality it only takes the will. It only takes the human will. It's as if once they get elected to office, their humanity is removed, and they're very selective in what issues they care about, what issues they platform, what issues they prioritize, who they care about. It they become heavily focused inward on themselves, enriching themselves, their families, their children go to the best schools, their children eat the best food, and while your children are left to starve. And so, in coming across that documentary by DW, which full credit to DW for the documentary, it was just really devastating to watch. You have young people who just need a little bit of hand to transform their lives, and you are just simply incapable of offering or extending a level of humanity to them. You only know them when it's election period, when you want them to go and stand and sacrifice for you. The little that you ought to do for them, you just cannot be bothered. And it shows, I encourage you guys to go out there and YouTube the DW documentary. It shows how Kush, heroin, cocaine usage is truly ravaging I was at the population of Liberia, because I saw one report or one metric where it was, I think, 35% of the population are on drugs, and one in every five, about 1.5 million youth. You're talking about a country that's like 5 million. 1.5 million youth are experiencing drug abuse. Somebody's children, people decent, good children are turning to substance abuse to numb their pain. And they would do any and everything. Imagine living in the worst of conditions to be able to just get a hit, chasing the next high. You look at all of that and you think society have absolutely failed them. Who do we blame but our leaders? And so the question I'm going to be asking today, with all of the drug conversation that's been happening, especially around the bust from the LDEA, the Liberian Drug Enforcement Agency, is Is Liberia becoming a narco state? Or forget becoming, is Liberia a narco state? And are we just in denial? And so I'm going to be walking through what it means to be a narco state. And then you, my audience, my partners in this, we can answer the question together. Do we think that Liberia is there? Or is Liberia another Guinea-Bissau? Or we think that it has the indicators, it has the tendencies, but not quite there yet. So without further ado, I'm going to get started here. Put your questions and your comments in the respective sections, and I will try to respond to them to the best of my abilities. Or maybe after or during the end of the show, I will go over all of your comments. If there's something urgent, absolutely, I will try to check in and cover it during the show. All right. Well, this is going to be quite interesting. So let's try to get started here. Okay, let's get into the topic of the day. Is Liberia a narco state? As I mentioned earlier, this is an investigation I have spent a lot of time on to gather as much details as I can through my research to help us answer this question, because I think it's quite important. And the timeline I'm going to be covering today over the next couple of days is going to be at least the last 20 to 25 years. So over the last 2 decades. And we want to be looking at the impact, say, from, say, 03 or 05. Well, let's just say that, 03 to 2026. I think that's a decent time frame. So let's jump right into it. Again, welcome to Uncensored. I'm Fanta Kamara, and today's topic is a dire question that every single Liberian ought to be asking themselves. Is Liberia a narco state? Or are we in denial? Let's find out. We're fast gaining notoriety as a transshipment country for illicit narcotics, with the country shamefully appearing now as a narco state. Do you know who said that? That was Joseph Boyka when he was an opposition leader, now president of Liberia. I found that to be quite interesting in retrospect. He was calling WEA out, questioning the increase of illicit drugs, narcotics, as he put it, in Liberia, how shameful it was, and asking the question, is Liberia a narco state? So it's quite interesting. Fast forward to now president, or him being president. I think it's not for any political reasons, but we definitely should ask the question, just as a citizen, as a Liberian, because we're seeing the signs and they're quite concerning. To bury 14 years of civil war under peace agreements and a Nobel Peace Prize. So before I continue, sorry guys, before I continue, I'm going to do my intro. And when we're doing research pieces, I'm going to jump into my intro, or my opening statement, and then I'm going to share with you I'm going to share my screen and share with you the timeline and the sources and all of that. So I just wanted to like set that standard. The buried 14 years of civil war under peace agreement and a Nobel Peace Prize that told the world Liberia was rising. But in the shadows, frozen fish containers from Brazil, flooded ghettos of Nuclear gold mines of the interior, the marble corridors of Capitol Hill. A different story was written. This is documented. So for anyone who's going to question, it is well sourced. It is prosecuted, or rather, should I say, not prosecuted. 2022, I think, was an alarming year because it was when the public first realized that there was some type of problem. Liberia and US authorities seized $100 million worth of pure cocaine in Monrovia. The traffickers walked free. A judge blamed the government. The Supreme Court upheld the acquittal. The money, as we know, it disappeared. Nobody went to prison, and the cocaine kept coming. Today, as I mentioned earlier, 1 in 5 Liberian youth uses narcotics. Over 1.5 are addicted to Kush, a synthetic cocktail of fentanyl, formaldehyde, and industrial chemical. Over 866 drug dens operate in Monrovia alone. The question tonight, again, is Liberia losing because it lacks resources or because powerful people don't want it to win? To date, the seizure, according to LDEA, is nearly $1 billion. And one can argue that is probably even more. Let's jump into the timeline. You see, the war left the door wide open. From 1989 to 2003, Liberia's civil wars left over 100,000 ex-combatants on the street, many of them child soldiers, many addicted already. Commanders issued marijuana and amphetamines to fighters before battle. You can certainly add cocaine and heroin to that. When the guns fell silent, the addiction remained. By 2003, over 80,000 people in northern Liberia consumed opium, the second highest rate in West Africa. When UN peacekeepers arrived, they brought order, but zero drug prevention infrastructure. They left that to the Liberian government. You see, addicts were referred to Liberia's single psychiatric hospital, wholly unequipped for the skill of what was coming. West Africa's Cook Coast. Between 2004 and 2008, while Liberia recovered, Latin American cartels facing tightened US maritime controls and the Caribbean pivoted to West Africa. Between 2004 and 2007, Colombian traffickers used motherships to cross the Atlantic, offloading to smaller boats of the West African coast. By 2009, US authorities confirmed at least 9 top-tier Latin American cartels had established bases across 11 West African nations. The estimated value of cocaine transshipments through West Africa in 2008 rivaled crude oil as the region's most valuable smuggled commodity. Liberia's post-conflict, insecure borders and waterways, and desperate as a nation was exactly the terrain that the cartels preferred. Exactly what they were looking for. So in 03, the Civil War ends. You have over 100,000, again, as combatants who are demobilized, many with severe drug dependencies. No national rehabilitation infrastructure exists, none prioritized. In 05, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf is elected behind the scenes. Nigerian criminal networks established footholds in the country. 07 to 08, DEA intelligence show foreign traffickers begin approaching Liberian officials with bribes to establish transit points. This is 07 to 08, so 05, 07, 08. In 2010, Operation Relentless is executed. For most of you who haven't heard of it, you're questioning, what the heck is that? My computer seems to be dancing today. I don't want it to dance. I want it to stand. So sorry. Sorry. That's better. In a landmark joint DEA and Liberian operation, 8 defendants are arrested for conspiring to distribute, again, 100 million worth of FARC protected cocaine to the United States. The network exposed the full architecture: Colombian cocaine, Russian aviation assets, Nigerian brokers transiting through Liberia to New York. The son of the president, so former Sirleaf at the time, it is said in those documents that he was acting as undercover. Interesting. DEA Administrator Michelle Linhart called it unprecedented cooperation. $100 million bust in 2010. 100 million. 05, 2010. From 2011 to 2017, some reforms were attempted. With US embedded advisors, the Liberia Drug Enforcement Agency, as we know it today, the LDEA, undergoes restructuring. The US obtains Liberia's first ever drug trafficking conviction in 2014. But the LDEA remains crippled by low manpower. Over half of its workforce are unpaid volunteers. How the heck is that possible? With endless manpower, you are under-resourced. I find that to be quite interesting. We'll leave it at that for now. In 2013, US prosecutors charged 2 former US soldiers and a former German soldier for conspiring to murder a DEA special agent operating in Liberia for $700,000. The plot illustrates the degree to which transnational criminals treated Liberia as an operational territory where US law enforcement could be assassinated. For $700,000, I'm walking you through this because the historical context matters. If we're gonna answer the question and answer honestly, is Liberia a narco-state? You have to understand the depth of what is at play here. 2016, Liberia assumes full security responsibility from UNMIL. Liberian institutions now stand alone, unshielded, limited capacity, limited resources, and no UN safety net. UNMIL left. We can do it by ourselves. Thank you for your peacekeeping. Thank you. Bye-bye. We're left completely naked. 2018 to 2023, the Weah era, escalation and impunity. As George Weah takes office, drug abuse accelerates. See, the UNODC identifies Liberia as a West African transit hub for cocaine, heroin, and marijuana. Civil society documents hundreds of drug dens across Monrovia. Cocaine prices dropped, making it accessible to poorer communities. In August 2022, the US Treasury sanctions 3 senior WEA officials for corruption. The Dano Miguel, Bill Troy of the National Port Authority, and a 3rd senior official, underscoring how corruption had penetrated the highest echelons, including control of the port through which the drugs arrive. October 2022, $100 million seizure. Again, I don't know if every time there's a huge attempt, it arrives at that $100 million number. That's very important. I want you to keep that in mind. It's an indicator that suggests that the quantity that actually enters Liberia is definitely nowhere around the 19 million or 50 million. It's definitely always 100 million and above. You think about it. If you as a business person was using a country as a transit point or was doing business, you would want to purchase as much as you can to minimize or to lessen your transport cost. So to say you're going to piecemeal your cargo seems ineffective. You will want to optimize it, right? So send as much as you can. And it's interesting that how every bust up to this point is around that, over 500 kilograms, around the $100 million mark, or even more than $100 million. Let's get back to this. At the time, this was thought to be the largest drug bust in Liberia's history. The LDEA seized of the 520 kilograms of pure cocaine, again worth over 100 million, from containers imported from Brazil by TRH Trading. This was the Topo Village bust, the Costerie bust, as some refer to it as. A Guinea-Bissau national and a Lebanese suspects are arrested. Guinea-Bissau is very important in this, so keep that in mind as well. The TRH Trading reports that the suspects offered 1 million for a container less than 30,000. Immediately, you think, red flag. This container is worth 30,000. Why would you offer me $1 million? So according to the report, they reported it to the US ambassador. They didn't think, okay, someone's offered me $1 million, like it's only 30,000. Let me go to the LNP they went straight, according to this report, they went directly to the US ambassador. Take from it what you will. 2023, a second seizure intercepts another. A second seizure was intercepted, another $140 million in cocaine, also from Brazil, also in TRH containers. The same company that had the Guinea-Bissauian and the Lebanese involved in the Costerie shipping, what have you, went to the US ambassador in October of 2022. Now, early 2023, another $140 million. So $240 million if we're adding it up. If I'm wrong, let me know. According to the report. So another $140 million in early 2023, also from Brazil, also in TRH containers. Liberia is now confirmed. At that point, Liberia is now confirmed as a high volume transit point. May 2023, the 4 defendants walk free. Like they just pew, 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 disappeared like birds in the sky. In a catastrophic failure of justice, jurors acquitted all 4 defendants in the $100 million trial. So they caught them, went to the justice system, assigned jurors, and magically they found them not guilty. They were acquitted. The presiding judge publicly condemns the WIA government's Ministry of Justice. Wrong defendants charge. TRH trading was never, it said that the wrong defendants were charged. The TRH trading, who's now received upwards $240 million in cocaine that they were unaware of, that they know, was never indicted. Only 5 to 8 witnesses produced $87,000 in seized evidence unaccounted for and bogus charges, leaving the jury no legal choice. The U.S. State Department's 2022 Human Rights Report had already stated that judges solicit bribes to acquit defendants. This is no Fanta Kamara saying this. The U.S. State Department 2022 Human Rights Report had already stated that judges solicited bribes to acquit defendants. June 2023, Boyka labels Liberia as a narco-state, declaring we're fast gaining notoriety as a transshipment country. It's sweet when you got opposition. You can just, you just go at it. But then the people voted him, right? WIA is bad. WIA is terrible. Ellen is terrible. Let's vote for Boyka. First, let's get into the Kush epidemic, or I should say the Kush apocalypse. So 2022, as we already mentioned, a synthetic cannabinoid called Kush floods Liberia, or floods across Liberia's, again, unguarded borders. Just porous borders, just open. Like anyone can come in. You want to come in? Sure, come. You want to come in? Sure, come. But what's that? Doesn't matter. Give me someone to just come. Kush floods across Liberia's porous borders, laced with fentanyl from Chinese labs. Formaldehyde stolen, get this, formaldehyde stolen from hospital mortuaries. And industrial chemicals. Industrial chemicals. The drug is catastrophically cheap and addictive. Former LDEA had Ibrahim Nkrumah, A.B. Nkrumah estimates over 1.5 million young people, young Liberians, are addicted. And Lawrence Yolo of a major NGO calls Liberia a society of zombies. A society of zombies. Is that what it has come to? Well, the Ministry of Health reports that 35% of mental health cases are linked to substance abuse. Let's explore the Boyka era. And by the way, tomorrow I'm going to show you the full timeline, including the sources that I'm quoting here. 2024 to 2026, current day. Boyka declares that the drug crisis is a national emergency. He allocates $200,000 for a nation that is that 1.5 million youth, millions of youth are experiencing addiction, and hundreds of millions in cocaine, if not billions, are flowing across Liberia's borders. And you only allocate 200,000 and declare this adequate to fight what you deem a crisis, a national emergency? 2025, 234 kilograms of cocaine is seized at the Bogota-side border crossing with Sierra Leone. A Nigerian national is arrested. June 2025, authorities at the Robert International Airport seize luggage packed with narcotics. Each plate estimated at about $50,000. Reports link the case to politically connected networks. U.S. State Department is reporting that judges get bribed, the justice system cannot be trusted. Now you have politically connected networks who are orchestrating, who are enabling, who are allegedly traffickers. We ask the question, is Liberia a narco-state? A narco-state, indicators of a narco-state means that there is some type of narco economy. A part of our economy is heavily influenced by narcotics. And from all indications, our justice system not having convicted anyone since 2005. All the evidence I've given you since 2005, we have had endless trafficking, several busts, multiple 100 million and above. No one convicted, right? And now, in 2025, this bust at RIA reports link the case to politically connected networks. Is Liberia a narco-state? Even Ellen, in her earlier years, mentioned that narcotics are heavily influencing our politics, or the drug money is heavily influencing our politics. I'm paraphrasing, of course. You can find this statement for yourself. Just research it. Just look it up. She said something like that. Not even something that she said that. So look it up, please. If you doubt it, look it up. 2025. To save a dying generation, thousands march on Capitol Hill demanding action. Civil society accuses the Boyka administration of hypocrisy, noting the crisis is worse than under the WEA administration. August to September of 2005, Boyka's fired the entire LDEA leadership after mounting pressure. Critics note that former DG A.B. Krumah, Boyka's first appointment, was allegedly doing business with the cartel, and the drug trafficking has surged to unprecedented levels. That's quite interesting, because he was the same person saying that, look, this is impacting our country, and here is evidence that 1.5 million Liberians and youth are addicted or impacted. This is something we need to really take care of. So how is it that all of a sudden he's allegedly associated with the cartels? Then you fire him. That is quite fishy. Was he trying to expose those cartels? And you didn't like that and you fired him? Well, asking questions. Let's move on. To current date, there's been some smaller busts in between, and tomorrow, as I said, we're going to walk through extensively the timeline. But June 2026, 287 kilograms was intercepted at RIA? Worth 19.2 million. Does that make sense to anybody? I don't understand like where this $19.2 million number came from. It blows my mind. Like, where did this $19.2 million number come from? How is it that in 2022, wait, my chair's acting up. Okay, there you go. How is it in 2022 you have 520 kilograms worth over $100 million? Yet in 2026, you have nearly 300 kilograms that is only worth $19 million. It's a lie. I will call that out and I will challenge whoever came up with that number. Because what it says to me, allegedly, what it says to me, if I put my thinking cap on, it suggests that, again, from historical trend, the 287 or 237, I forget the number. Hold on, I'm going to get it right because that's very important. That's very, very important. Where did I put it? Okay, I'm going to get it before we end here, I promise. Okay, in any case, the 2-something number was not the total amount. What it suggests to me is that, and there's been rumblings of this, is that there was actually more that came in, more than 500 that came in. And so you just happen to have 2-something be intercepted. I think that's more logical, right? That's more logical. The Liberian Observer notes this test whether, with this recent intercept, right? This test whether Liberia's improved enforcement architecture can translate operational success into judicial accountability. What I'm taking from that is, are we going to see some type of accountability for this bust? Or is it just going to be like the rest? I asked the question again, is Liberia a narco-state? Are our leaders influenced by narco funds, narco finances, narco money, drugs money, whatever you want to call it? Because those are indicators of a narco-state. Narcotics directly or indirectly influence our economy. People can argue to say that, well, we still have oil and we not oil, like we still have gold and the extractive industry. So not fully narco. We'll get into that. But I'm laying all of this out to show you the historical trend, because it's important to answer the question. We cannot be sentimental about it. We cannot just pull it out of our hat or be sensational about it, because it's important to ensure this is established in facts. It's rooted in actual data. Let's understand a little bit about who the players are, the shadow players, the cartels, and what have you. Have been associated with Liberia. Again, we're doing all of this to answer the question. Is Liberia a narco state? Number one, the Colombian cartels, FARC, which was linked to Operation Relentless, confirmed FARC protected cocaine routed through Liberia. It was route from the route that was used was from Colombia to Bolivia, or from Bolivia to Venezuela, from Venezuela to West Africa, and it was to make its way into Europe and the USA. We have also, or reports have also confirmed that there are Nigerian networks, right, confirmed operating in Liberia even before 2015, being brokered by folks like Chigbo Peter Omei, who move multiple tons of cocaine from South America to West Africa. Today, Nigerian networks control Kush distribution channels. You have PCC Brazil. The PCC Nigerian network is identified as the dominant South American actor currently operating in Africa. The 2022 seizures originated from Brazil. The TRH, Costa Rica container, Lebanese man, Guinea-Bissau and Liberian. The other organization here, as indicative by the bust, again, $100 million bust, it suggests Russian affiliation, Russian organized crime. The pilot, Yurin Shengel, was also associated with Operation Relentless. You have Sierra Leoneans, you have Ghanaians. I was very surprised about the Ghanaian angle when I came across this. But then someone told me that, they used the Fantinkinos. Where did the Fantinkinos come from? In fact, you have not only Ghanaians, you have Malians, you have East Africans. There was a Ugandan woman arrested not too long ago at RIA. Again, I'm going to provide all that additional details tomorrow. But this is quite expensive. You're not talking about a gram or less than a gram. You're talking about established networks operating in and out of Liberia or operating internationally are now transiting through Liberia and have made Liberia a foothold, as I mentioned, since 2005. Of course, the Lebanese, Guinea-Bissauans. Someone also mentioned I think I already mentioned that, like the Guineans and the Malians. But they have to have internal enablers. See, these people do not operate in a vacuum. It's a network. That's the very reference to a network. It's a network. That means they work collaboratively. You need parties on the inside to connect with. That's how this works. You can't pull large sum of shipment through or from the ports, from the seaports, transport them to the airport without insiders. People working in the seaport, people working at the airport, people working in the justice system, people working in the very LDEA, people working in the LNP, people working in our security and intelligence apparatus. These cartels, these networks, these agencies would not be able to operate in a vacuum. They would need to work with people in the various sectors I have mentioned. This is all public information, by the way. Reports have suggested that not too long ago, an LDEA officer discovered drugs in a sitting lawmaker's vehicle. When summoned before the legislature, she reportedly collapsed under pressure. What happened to that case? It vanished. There was no prosecutions. To recover the network, we're talking about the enablers, sitting lawmakers. It's interesting how they, before they get into office, they have absolutely nothing. They're church poor, they're dirt poor, living in zingrons. They get into office and they become millionaire overnight. Sitting lawmakers are participating actively as enablers, according to reports. There's another component to this, and from the enabler angle, you have minerals being traded for narcotics. So Liberia's gold and diamond mines have become drug trafficking hubs where minerals are exchanged for narcotics. Foreigners flood reserve forest Our forest is a reserve forest under, very suspicious circumstances. And they're operating beyond security controls or security agencies' controls. We talk about the open border, whether it's the immigration or the NSA or the LNP. They always complain about not having enough resources, not having enough manpower. So the operators take advantage of that. And so they go in the deepest part of the forest to carry out their operation. They exchange narcotics for minerals, the locals. Now, there are also reports that LDEA Deputy Director Gui Forkpa publicly stated that high-level government officials were involved in the illicit drug trade. He called the current system bad, contrasting it unfavorably with Sirleaf-era procedures. He was subsequently dismissed by Bouaka. The Bouaka administration, does the Bouaka administration have an accountability problem? Because investigative reporting alleges Bouaka appointed officials with direct cartel connections to oversee counter narcotics. A close family associate allegedly uses influence to recommend allies for key security positions at the LDEA. Also in Liberia Immigration Services. Also at the airport. Close associates of, not close associates, family members or family associates, allegedly of Bouaka, used their influence to recommend key positions in the LDEA and the immigration. So we talk about open borders. They have, again, enablers having connections at the airport. Oh, yeah, man, I bet my interest. No, don't put it to the scanner, man. Just bring it here. Now my interest there does not go to the security scanners, or better yet, they go to the executive lounge where there are no scanners, or it's easier to bypass the scanners that are there, if they are. Again, is Liberia a narco state? To be a narco state, narco activity has to be embedded, has to be systemic, formally or informally, in our system. Is TRH trading just $240 million and never indicted, no question. How is it that your container alone, they happen to target your container with over $240 million of cocaine? No indictment. Okay. It's important as we continue down this path in attempting to answer the question definitively, is Liberia a narco state? We have to be able to hold up the mirror. We have to be able to hold up the mirror and look at all of these indications. And what that looks like today, definitively, is a Guinea-Bissau. We are honest and hold the mirror up to ourselves. We see ourselves in Guinea-Bissau. If we want to know where Liberia is headed, we have to study Guinea-Bissau. Guinea-Bissau, as we all know, is Africa's first narco-state, officially designated by the UNODC in 2008. Guinea-Bissau shares Liberia's profile: post-conflict, extreme poverty, weak institutions, strategically aligned or is on the Atlantic coastline, all of it. In the early 2000s, South American cartels identified its archipelago, right, as the perfect transshipment hub. You talk about all of these tiny little islands in Guinea-Bissau, weak institutions, weak security apparatus, or complacent security apparatus. Well, at peak trafficking, at least 2 to 3 tons of cocaine valued at hundreds of millions, exceeding their entire budget, passed through Guinea-Bissau monthly. 2 to 3 tons of cocaine in early 2000s. You're talking worth like upward $300 million monthly passed through Guinea-Bissau. This was more than their country's budget. Is that what's happening to Liberia? Is it just the wrong people who are intercepting these ones that make it to the media, and so it becomes a big sting? But is it more quantity that's actually making their way through Liberia undetected? Let's ask the question. I'm asking questions. Guinea-Bissau was so influenced that they named the coup after them. The cocaine coup, they called it. In April 2012, General Antonio Injai seized power in a military takeover directly linked to competition over drug transit revenues. It's like Boyka and Rhea fighting for like who's gonna get the bigger payout or like payday, allegedly. A second coup attempt in 2022 also had alleged cocaine trade connections. There's a parallel here that we must understand. As I mentioned, weak post-conflict institution offering compromised law enforcement, military security involvement in the tracking. Is our army involved? Is the AFL involved? Is the LNP involved? I know there have been some LDEA officers who have been compromised. It's mentioned that immigration officers are also involved. Is the army involved? It is alleged that members of the president's family, of Boyka's family, is involved. We know that Fumba was involved. We were told as an undercover asset. There's all these semblance of powerful families, powerful bureaucrats involved. The executive branch, the legislative, lawmakers, everybody just selling and dicing and slicing and selling Liberia and then poisoning the youth. You poison other people's children intentionally to enrich yourself. Some might argue that there's still a difference between Liberia and Guinea-Bissau. Guinea-Bissau has far gone. Liberia is not quite there yet. But Guinea-Bissau is very important because it shows is that mirror, as I mentioned earlier, is that mirror that have to hold up, Liberia has to hold up and determine, is this where I'm headed? Am I going to wake up one morning and realize that there's been a state capture? Or is it in actuality, is it a fact today that cartels run Liberia? Let's answer the question. There's a huge cost here. From the human catastrophe, the 1.5 million number that we keep hearing, 35% of the population. There are nearly 1,000 drug dens, drug ghettos in Monrovia alone. Is this normal? Let's stop just being reactive, always just reacting to the headlines. Let's take a step back and actually look at the water and watch the waves. How did we get here? Is this part of a bigger syndicate? Is this part of a bigger network? We're up in the air about $19 million quote unquote bust. What happened to the $240 million from just a couple of years ago? 240, nearly 1,000 kilograms, if not more, over a ton of cocaine was intercepted in Liberia. Over $240 million. Nobody was acquitted. Nobody was prosecuted. And then we're up in here about 19 million, as if to say it just happened today. Oh, we want to what tower lapa or roll our sleeve. No, come and go fue. Come and go fue. Come and go fue. Are you part of it? Maybe you also are a part of it. To pretend as if to say this is so brand new. I didn't know. I had no idea this was happening. Oh my gosh, this is new for me. Are you living under a rock? Are you? Especially the people that I see talking now. They've not been living under a rock. They are being selective. They cover their own dirt, and they want to shine the light on the dirt of the Boyka administration, rightfully so. But when you're going to do that, make sure it's comprehensive. As you just saw here, we cover an extensive timeline. Back 20 years. This is not new. Where you have nearly 2 million Liberian youth who are addicts. You think this is new? You think this just happened yesterday? This started before the war or during the war. We are a nation of zombies walking around with so much trauma. And we think it's normal. Like, it's not normal. It's not new. Why are you acting surprised? Oh my gosh, I didn't know. Are you just pretending? Because you benefit from the same system. So you're pretending like you're actually condemning them when you're actually not. Don't fool the people. Don't lie to the people. Speak the truth. That yes, you were aware of that. You have been aware of it. And we should really stay away from making this political. Is Boyka? Is this? No. Because all of you are part of the same network. You are friends. Today you're UP. Tomorrow you're CDC. Next day you're this. The other day you're this. You flow with the wind. Wherever the wind goes, that's where you go. It goes this way, that's where you go. You're not loyal to nobody but yourself. And you're definitely not loyal to Liberia. You are benefiting from the plight of the Liberian people and the everyday people who suffer from the drugs that you are directly or indirectly, the trafficking of drugs that you are directly or indirectly supporting behind the scenes. And then you come to the public, you want to fool the public. Who are you fooling? Guy, please. I'm going to try not to go off script here. I mean, this is important. Let's get back to answering the question. Right? By the strict academic definition, a narco-state is an economy that is primarily dependent. That word is important. Dependent on illicit drugs. As I mentioned, Liberia still has like iron ore, it has gold. And so is it 100% dependent on narcotics or illicit drugs? It's heavily infiltrated. Where is that percentage? Is it enough to stamp it officially? I don't know. Are all of the semblance there? All the indicators? Absolutely. Absolutely. Are we going to wait 2-3 years from now and the UNODC is going to give us that stamp as they did to Guinea-Bissau? Africa's second narco-state. Boop. We cannot afford to get there. We cannot afford to get there. Our institutions have certainly been captured, so we can definitely claim institutional capture. We know the judicial is influence. Lawmakers don't make laws on behalf of the people. The executive, they act at their will. So institutional capture, absolutely. Absolutely. Influenced by illicit drugs or money from illicit drugs, absolutely. What are we going to do about it? Because everyone is compromised. So where do we go from here? Well, this is part one of answering that question. Is Liberia a narco-state? It is my hope that with the information that I've been provided to you today, you will take some time to think about what this truly means for all of us as Liberians and what this means for Liberia. I have a call to action for you as my partners in crime. It is your turn. I'm urging you to share this clip and continue to raise the alarm. They're lying to us. Everything that they're saying, it makes no sense. How is it with this recent bust, you're able to name one person name, Emmanuel, and we cannot get the rest of the folks? Selective justice, selective targeting. In order for us to understand truly beyond what they're telling us, we have to share the information that we know. I'm sharing with you, share with someone else. The more we build a community of truth speakers and truth seekers, the better chance that we stand as Liberia and Liberians and Africans and people of the world. We cannot afford for Liberia to become a Guinea-Bissau. We are definitely on our way there, if not at the door. We're not that far off. If Ellen can say it back in 2005 or in her earlier terms that illicit drugs, the money or funds from illicit drug is influencing our politics, we're in 2026, more than 20 years later, we're continuing to see an increase of that. It is going to take all of us. So please, support independent voices. Do not make this political. It is not a boycott problem. It is a Liberia problem. It is a leadership problem. The rich are getting richer, and the poor, unfortunately, are getting poorer, are getting sicker, are getting addicted because they're making it. There's not enough that they're using Liberia as a transit point. They're making the drugs, the cocaine, the heroin, the Kush so cheap that even 50 Liberty will get you a slice for a hit. It is a setup. We have to be smart enough to wake up from that and say, no, thank you. We reclaim our future. We reclaim our country. We reclaim ourselves as people and cannot afford to head down this treacherous path. The documentary that I shared earlier from DW is worth visiting. Please watch that documentary. It's about 28, let's say under 30 minutes. It's so important because it's telling of what today is 1.5 million Liberians that go through that. A year, 2 years from now, if we do nothing, we'll probably see that number increase. We're a country of 5 million people. 1.5 million already addicted or experiencing illicit drug abuse. That number is going to double if we do nothing. So share this video. Continue to hold your representatives, your elected officials responsible. Reach out to them. We have to keep the pressure on. It is only then that we stand a chance as Liberians. Again, this is part 1. Tomorrow, if God spares my life, I will be back the same time. It's been a pleasure. Until next time. Bye-bye. Again, if you have any information to share, send it to my inbox. You're my partner in this. I can't do it without you. So thank you again. See you tomorrow at the same time. Hasta la vista, as they say, right? Oh, I see you tomorrow. Bye.